David Parker, I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be here, Jamie. Thank you.
This was one that we did some pretty extensive prep for, but I didn't have to.
Yes.
It's nice having a relationship that goes back, I think, literally decades.
A few years now.
Yeah, I've been sitting on your haircuts with Lily.
Right beside me.
Yeah, for a long time. So this is actually an absolute joy. And I'm going to pivot for a second to an event that just happened this weekend, and because I want to talk about leadership style.
Yeah.
So Warren Buffett's passing the torch,
Yes.
and you may have met him. I mean, I've seen you on CNBC, so I relate you in that category of things.
Yeah.
You know, when you're the CEO of a publicly traded company, Covenant Transport, by the way, and so he's passing the torch, and it went off. It looks like pretty flawlessly. I think that Abel's been in since like 1989, but he is acclaimed, Warren Buffett, for his leadership style.
Oh, absolutely.
And in a lot of ways, I think you are too.
Yeah.
And
In a small way, compared to Warren Buffett.
compared to Warren. So I've been doing Lois Vandergrift's hair for 25
Oh, my
years.
goodness.
And she sings your praises. I don't have to ask how David's doing because I see her every 4 or 5 weeks. And she's like, he's doing great. We're doing this. We're doing that. It's such a pleasure to work for him.
She's a good lady.
And it's not, I don't have to needle her for it. And I think if you can catch an employee in an off time in a social setting, and as a hairdresser, like they've put their guard down with me.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting a certain amount of like genuine reflection from them. But please talk to me about your leadership style. I guess that would be number one. Kind of core principles. If you have some influences, people that have influenced you for that leadership style, and
Yes.
and I guess I'll leave it there.
Well, you know, we will be celebrating 40 years.
Holy cow!
At Covenant come January. So it's been I was 20. Jacqueline and I were 28 years old when we started the company. So now we're getting 68 years old, and we're getting old. But you know, the leadership traits that we have are all based upon our Christian faith since day number one, and it is something that's really involved in our mission statement. I think about the attributes of our mission statement. You know, we want to be able to provide service in the supply chain to our customers, our employees, our vendors as our mission statement. But really the attributes that make up the mission statement are empathy, servanthood that we have that is there, and virtue. And as I think about those things that really drive the company, you know, empathy is one that it's not sympathy. Your mind goes to sympathy when you think about empathy.
That's right.
But really, empathy is sympathy, but doing something about it. I can feel sorry for everybody, whether it's in their personal life or whether it's in the business and just doing their job. We can have sympathy that, boy, that's a tough day. You're going through a lot of tough things. You don't have the business or the freight slow or et cetera. But empathy is when I get in to help you do something about it. And so that's one of the traits that we have in running the company. And then servanthood, and that is simply to be a servant. You know, as a Christian, one of the most important Bible verses that I love is Matthew 23, verse 12. And it says, "He that exalts himself shall be humbled, but he that humbles himself shall be exalted." And so Covenant now with 5,000 employees there, I mean, we sit there and we run our company not based upon what every teammate, we call them, but employee does for David Parker, but what can David Parker do for the employee? And if they truly need help, come ask, and we're going to get in there and we're going to work to make sure that we assist you. And then virtue is just being humble. Just make sure that you're doing the right things that needs to be done.
Jacqueline has been here since I've been here. She was here before me.
Yes.
And I've never
Yeah.
seen her in the salon without the Bible open and she's in the Word.
Yeah.
Never once. So 25 years,
Yes.
never once.
I know.
And it's a testament to her commitment. And I think that's absolutely awesome. We hit the reset button 2 years ago, and I was worried about some of the direction that I felt like we were going in as a company.
Right.
And we redid our entire employee manual.
Yeah.
And our mission statement was after 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 2.
Wow.
And I love that. And I'm in a Bible study, and Taylor told me, he's like, it's scripture mining. It's like if you have a problem and you're going somewhere for a solution, he's like, why wouldn't you start
Why wouldn't you?
here?
Yes.
Like it's all right there. You don't have
Yes.
to make it up.
Yes.
You know what I mean, you have to go
It's
to
there.
Chat GPT.
That's right.
But it's in a very similar vein. I love the idea of being above reproach. Being sober minded, which I hope everybody shows up to work sober. Oh my God, I hope all your drivers are showing up to work sober.
That's
but
right.
but sober minded also not being in an altered state.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Being
Yes.
present and being there.
Yeah.
And at the
A
end,
whole mind.
and at the end, I think we all have a divine responsibility to teach. And I could see you absolutely as a teacher, especially for your staff, and sort of transitioning as in a mentor role for a Covenant.
Yes, without a doubt. And first of all, even though our company is founded upon Christian principles and we talk about Jesus all the time, 5,000 employees, everybody's not a Christian. And that's okay. You are welcome to work at Covenant and not have the Christian beliefs that we have. But the thing that you will have is that you'll see an atmosphere that is Christian. And you'll see an atmosphere that is attempting to do the right thing. And if you do the wrong thing, let's go back and fix it. Because hey, we're not perfect. And there are things that happen that you said, boy, I wish I could have a retake. I wish we could retake on that. But the thing is, go back and do a retake and fix it if you possibly can. And so it is. It's one of integrity with our customers. Our customers don't have to worry about us lying to them, because keep in mind, we're trying to go from A to B all over the United States, A to B, and deliver people's freight throughout the United States. Well, there's issues. There are breakdowns. There's times that drivers quit. There are times that you have mechanical issues. There are times that the customer has its own issues and the load does not leave when it's supposed to leave, but they expect you to make up the time and get it to destination. There's a time evident in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where you can't even get through the city because of the traffic. I know, we all can realize that. I mean, that's a very difficult situation. But there are times that you're just going to have issues, but it's being upfront, honest, live and work your company with integrity.
You guys started off with 25 trucks.
Yes.
And how many are there today?
Well, we have 2,500 that operate in our company, but then we also have branched out to, we have over about 5 million square feet of warehouse space throughout the United States, 2,500 trucks. We have then a non-asset company that does not have trucks and trailers. It's in transportation, but it does about $250 million just without trucks. And then we own 49% of another company that's in our corporate offices that's a truck trailer leasing company. And they have 2,500 trucks and 7,000 trailers that we lease throughout the United States.
So the storage space, so obviously it looks like you guys have gotten into fulfillment. Like there's your vertical marketing there, like you're running the chain.
Yes.
Do you guys own that real estate as well?
No, we lease all of our real estate.
Okay.
Yes, and actually one of the things that we do, and our model is that when we get with our customers, and our customers are who's list, from Colgate and Mars and the Marine Corps. I mean, it's a who's list. We will go out and lease all of the warehousing and tie it to the lease, the amount of how long the contract is. So we get a contract, say with Mars or Colgate, and it's a 5-year contract. We will go and get a lease on a facility for the 5 years. That way, we're not having to have assets involved.
So now I guess you're kind of like an Amazon. Are you storing the product for them to get it out as a distribution center?
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
No idea.
Absolutely. We do that. We store it for them. We load it for them. Some of them, we are the ones that's going out and getting outside capacity for them. For instance, on the Marine Corps, we are servicing every retail outlet for the Marine base throughout the United States. So every Marine base that is out there, we're servicing it.
Holy cow!
So a lot of that is UPS. So we are the customer, say for FedEx and for UPS on parcel that's going small package.
Now, how long have you been doing that?
We bought a company in 2018 that was doing that.
Okay.
So when we bought so that's been 7 years, and they were doing about 5. I think our relationship with the Marines is now 12, 13 years. Okay.
And so, how were we had to postpone, and but
Right.
anyway, but I know last week was busy. There was Q1 earnings. Now,
Yes.
tell me about earnings last week, and then forward guidance. What you were telling the company and your investors.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a very interesting time right now for transportation because of the tariffs. And it's almost in a no man's land. And Wall Street is, first of all, companies are not even issuing further guidance,
Right.
future guidance, because we're still trying to figure out what the tariffs, how they're going to affect the industry, how it's going to affect the shipping public. And so nobody is giving future guidance. And most of Wall Street, the analysts, are just up in the air throwing out a guess number.
Right.
And so it's very difficult. We to give you an idea on the first quarter, the last 2.5, 3 years, we have been very blessed that we have done better than all of our peers. And so that's a blessing for us. But because the last 2 or 3 years has been the most difficult time in the history of transportation, the last 2 to 3 years, coming after COVID, coming after the great supply chain issue that was there when you and I could not get a product. And we all remember that coming when they opened back up and the supply chain was a wreck because it had been shut and you didn't have products in the store and the store couldn't get the products and the stores could not get truckers to come pick it up. And so what ended up happening in the year time of 2022, the industry exploded with capacity. Pricing, you can relate to this, pricing doubled.
Yeah.
So pricing went up. Everybody and his brother went out and bought a truck. So capacity came flying into the industry. Well, then the economy in the last couple of years started slowing down. The only reason why the economy was, as we both know, the only reason why it had positive GDP growth is because of government spending. If it was just because of the consumer, we would have been in a recession a long time ago. And so what ended up happening is that freight started slowing for the last 2 years. And to give you an idea, you take the last couple of years, inflation on all of us, whether it's your business here, whether it's or personal life. We see inflation, whether we're going to the grocery store or going to buy a car, we've seen inflation. Well, we've got the industry, including Covenant, we've got 25% inflation in our P&L for the last 3 years. We've raised rates 2%. That's the reason why truckers have all been exiting very quickly. And so you're seeing an exit in the last 6-8 months, and there's going to be a tremendous amount more. These tariffs are going to be exiting the market for truckers very, very rapidly, which is not a bad thing. We need some rationalizing. We need to make sure that we get back to an even keel on capacity versus demand.
So when you say truckers, are you talking about individual drivers?
All the above.
Okay, or even to
companies.
Yeah,
to
companies.
us. The companies like ourselves, all the public companies, to people that are running 50 trucks. The average fleet size of a trucking company in America is about 10 trucks. Very fragmented, 10 trucks. And so you're talking about the individual owner, somebody running 10, 20 trucks, to somebody running, the largest is 27,000 trucks. So it's a large, very, very fragmented.
So, I mean, what you're saying is the industry needs a purge.
It needs a purge.
But that you guys stand to benefit from
That's
that.
right. Yeah, the purge, we will benefit. So we have been through this last 2 or 3 years where I said where rates have not gone up. Rates have been almost, again, this year we've taken them up a couple of percent, but before that it was 0. So no rate power, and the industry's got to get some rate power back. And so that will happen, and then the ones that are left will be able to make a return. So that said, under that background, the last 2.5 years, we have beat almost every quarter. We've been successful in beating Wall Street's numbers. Our stock has performed extremely well up until the last 2 or 3 months, extremely well during the last 2.5 years. And, there was a number to give you an idea. We went from, I'm close to these numbers, but 2006, 2008, when was a great recession, as we know, 08, 09. For about 14 years, our stock price averaged about $14. $14 up to 18, down to 7, up to 18. So you averaged about $14. In the last 4 or 5 years, it's averaged $40 to give you an idea of what our stock has done. So we've been very blessed.
Do you guys pay a dividend?
We do.
What is a dividend?
Yeah, we it's about a 1% number.
Okay.
To give you an idea.
Which year was it that you guys hit $1 billion in sales? I remember actually reading
About 2 years ago.
about 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Oddly enough, I had a paper in my hand.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah,
That might have been the last time I had a paper in my hands. But I remember reading about it.
Yes.
And so, do you feel like that's sustainable moving forward?
It is. The last 2 years is basically have been flat on revenue, about $1 billion, $1 billion, 50 million, those kind of numbers. But we got projections to get it on up to 1.5 or so.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, so we're going to continue to grow, and we're doing that through internal growth as well as acquisitions. About 2 years ago, April, 2 years a month ago, we purchased a company that got us into the chicken business.
Okay.
Hauling chickens, and I've learned more about chickens than I've ever known in my life. I mean, it's been an experience for the last 2 years. But we may be one of the only few. I would use the word only, but we can't say that. One of the few carriers in the last 2 years that has added trucks. Most everybody has gone down in terms of capacity because of the market. But when we bought the chicken hauling business, we've actually doubled the size of that company. And so that's been a great event for us.
There's some pretty big clients in Chattanooga. We've got I think 2 big processing plants.
Yeah. You got Cook, poultry, and there's a bunch here in Chattanooga. The company we purchased was out in Arkansas. You got Georgia is the number 1 poultry state in the country.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, is the state of Georgia. Arkansas would be number 2. Is the state of Arkansas. And so it's just a big poultry segment. And think about where Tyson's based at in Arkansas, but there's a lot more besides Tyson. I mean, there's a lot of poultry companies. And the thing that's interesting about poultry, and I didn't know any of this, but the reason why it's critical and the reason why service is critical, and they allow you to make a correct margin. Here's one that the margins have not eroded. They've allowed you to be able to make it, is because let's just take an example of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Let's use Chick-fil-A. All of these companies want a certain size bird. It's what they want. So these birds may be 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds. So they go all to the farms. We provide the feed in these big container trailers.
Sure. We
go to the farm. We dump the food. And the food is all different depending upon, I need a 5-pound bird, so we're going to put more protein into it. I need a 3-pound bird. I don't have to spend. I put more corn in. It is different. And so the trailers have got different segments in them, and we got to make sure that we're delivering the correct product to the correct farm. So these farms are all over. And so we're taking these trucks and trailers on some of the roughest roads on farms out in the country to get rid of the food. And then once the bird reaches the particular weight that Kentucky Fried Chicken or Chick-fil-A wants, then we will pick those loads up and we will take them to the processing center. Then it becomes Chick-fil-A.
We don't need gene editing. We need to monkey around with a diet and play God. If we can play God for chickens and the size,
That's right.
We'll just stay fixed on the diet. I got it.
You're exactly right.
Now, is the gear different for those trucks? You're not just on the.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
that's right.
I'm sure shocks and tires and those kinds of
Absolutely.
things. Like it's got to be
transmissions. Yes, I mean it's almost like a Jeep. You've got to have a different setup in those. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You said so. I guess we could transition to politics right now, and tell me how you feel like the president's doing with the economy right now, and how you feel like it impacts Covenant. And if you wouldn't mind in that question addressing like where gas prices are right now, because you and I had a very interesting conversation about 10 years ago where I learned something for the first time, and there had been a dip in gas prices, and you were like, well, we're trying to lock in through the futures market, a lower rate for an extended period of time. And even being a former investment banker, I understood a lot of things, but understanding futures and how a CEO of a publicly traded company where I mean, it might be your number one cog. I don't know.
Yeah.
But how those things factor together.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Let's take the futures. Really, you got to look at it as an insurance policy. We don't do it anymore today. The reason why we don't do it is that let's just use a 10. I think it was about 8 years, about an 8 year together. We would take 8 years and we made $4 million. We took the next 44 years and lost $4 million, and you break even. But that's really what it's supposed to be. It's I'm in trucking. I'm not in futures of oil and those kind of things. So it's really looking at it from an insurance standpoint. But the ups and downs are too much. So I'd rather have when it hurts me, I'd rather have it hurt me. But when it helps me, then because pricing is going down, then let it help me. So I'd rather just go with the flow of it. And so we got out of it probably 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
And so after probably about an 8 year run of being in futures for oil, but as it relates to the politics, as it relates to President Trump, as it relates to the economy, here's what I've told our people in the last week, in the last couple of weeks, and that is the economy, I believe, is going to be outstanding. I believe that he and the administration is setting it up for multiple years of a great economy. And what I mean by great economy is that I expect the GDP in the United States to be 3 to 4%, not 1. The United States has got to grow better than 1% GDP. It's got to be a better number just to be able to afford and pay our bills. It's got to be better than that. If we can get 3+ and maybe even 4%, you can really do some damage to the deficit. And to me, the most important thing out there is the deficit, because I think that's going to be a breaker for our country. It's kind of like I heard in the last couple of weeks is, how does a nation go broke? How does it go bankrupt? Slow, then fast. And that's true. I mean, and you're seeing a little bit of it right now. We're seeing a little bit of happenings today when the only way that the government, is funding our deficit is by printing paper, printing money, and then going to the nations of the world and getting them to buy it. Today, our debt is costing us $1.2 trillion of interest rates. What happens if interest rates double? What happens? What happens to that cost? Then you're broke. You cannot afford it. Matter of fact, last week, and then they've come out and said, no, we're only joking. But Japan, in the negotiations of the tariffs, came out last week and said, you do realize that we own $1.1 trillion of your treasuries. Other words, of your debt.
Right.
We better get to a negotiations that make sense, is what Japan was saying, or we may not buy your debt. And let me tell you, Bensett last week, a couple of weeks ago, had to step in to get nations to buy our debt. And so that is not where America wants to be at. You have got to pay down this debt. And so to me, that's the most important thing that's out there. But that said, first things first, as I look at America and as I look at the economy that President Trump is trying to get to is one that America will be the best, and is today, the best economy in the world. Number two, we truly are the breadbasket, not from food standpoint, but from the middle class of the world. We are the envy of the world, because you have got a percentage, and I'm not sure of the percentage, but let's just use the number 10%, 8, 10, 7, it's somewhere. But say 10% of our nation is made up of wealthy people. 10% is made up of poor people. Then you've got the bread of it. The 80% is the middle class, and the middle class is what buys. Well, let me tell you, America has got the largest middle class in the world.
That's right.
in the world is America. And so the middle class are the up-and-comers. They've gone from the poor state. They're into the middle class. They want to buy a home. They want to buy a car. They're buying goods. Then you got the wealthy up here that are sitting there saying, well, I'm 68 years old, and I've got a house, and it's paid for, and I got a car, and it's what do I want anymore? Well, that's what happens as we get older.
Yeah.
So it's the young, the middle class that is coming up that propels it. And so it is true that America is like going to a sporting event. It's like going to the World Series and saying, I want to be down by the dugout. I want my seat to be down by the dugout, 2 rows from the dugout, and I will pay whatever, $200 for that ticket because the upper deck is a $50 ticket, but it's in the upper deck. Nosebleed, but I'm going to go down here for $200, and I'm willing to do that. That's where America, so that's where Trump is trying to say, you all have taken advantage of, and they have unbelievably led by China. They've taken advantage of us over all these, every nation of the world. It isn't just China, but they're the worst. But every nation of the world through their tariffs. To give you an idea, the vast majority of us, America, has no tariff number on them bringing all their product to the dugout seat of the World Series. We just come on. We got the biggest middle class. Bring it all here, sell it all here, and all that money goes back to their nation. And so what he is attempting to do is put the tariffs on to say, let me tell you, that day is over with. And what it's going to do, Jamie, is it's going to bring manufacturing, tremendous amount of manufacturing back to America, because he's also saying, if you make it here, it will be 0 tariffs. But not only that, this Congress is getting ready to pass somewhere around a 15% tax if you make it here. So your corporation taxes are going to go down to 15% with no tariffs. Well, let me tell you, that's why you have seen so far, what is it, about $6 trillion? Mm-hmm. $6 trillion of manufacturers that are saying, I am running to America. That's all in the last 3 months.
I feel like it's been every week.
It is.
Somebody's
it's all the
stepping
time.
in.
Somebody's saying, from automotive plants to pharmaceutical plants. Apple investing $500 million a year for 4 years building a big plant in Texas. And so you're seeing that already taking place. It is going to be a renaissance of manufacturing employment that left here forever. You had President Obama that said, what's there, something magic? You can't bring these jobs back. Do you remember that a few years ago?
Yes.
You can't bring these, you're not going to bring them back. Well, Trump is showing you can bring them back. And America will prosper. Now, that said, we may, as I've told, here's what I'm telling my people, my employees, my teammates, is that it may be, is it 2 months? Is it 3 months? It may be 2025 that it's going to be difficult. It may be some difficult times in the next period of time, but once we get through this, I think it's setting us up for a bonanza for 3 to 4 years of unbelievable growth and prosperity in America.
Why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long to get to this point just to grab all of the predecessors to Donald Trump had all the same information that he did, and may have had a leg up if you think about most of them being career politicians.
Yes.
And I think, which is probably what they didn't do as well, is Donald Trump, because he's looking at the United States economy and as a business.
Absolutely.
And not as a politician.
Yes.
But why couldn't we pull the trigger? Why couldn't we stand and be like, yeah, we're just not doing it?
Did not have the guts. And I'm going to tell you, it ought to be a prerequisite that says, if you're going to be president, if you're going to be a leadership, if you're going to be, you need to be running a business. Let me tell you, in 40 years, thank God, we've been in business 40 years. I've been broke twice and just didn't shut the doors. I didn't know how I was going to make payroll. It takes that kind of mentality versus giving me somebody that's been in government for 50 years and the only paycheck they made is what the government is giving them. They can't feel it. They don't know it. There's very few exceptions of someone that's been in government forever that really gets it. Very few exceptions. but the business person. There's very few business people, though, that can run the government.
Right.
But if you get someone like a Donald Trump that has the guts, I don't agree with everything Donald Trump does, but I'm going to tell you, he's a man that stands up for his beliefs. And you know where he's at all the time. There is a great civics lesson, because that's one thing we've lost in America. It's why our young people don't understand government. But if you want to learn civics, he's teaching it to you every day by saying, come into the Oval Office. I'm going to let you see my cabinet meetings. I'm going to tell you, for the last couple of months, most of us can't wait to get at home, turn the TV on to see what's going on in the cabinet meetings.
Yeah.
It's brought more civic learning to the young people in this nation than they will ever know, because they don't have, he has taken the media out of it and saying,
bypassed them.
Here it is. I'm bypassing you. Here it is. Here's what's going on, and here's what my thoughts are.
Well, and the Republicans have sort of bypassed the media by going straight to the podcast.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at
same thing.
Tucker Carlson, you look at Joe Rogan, and all these people, if you want to get, you know, the kind of a, I think it's a straight shot.
Yes.
I hope I'm not being too naive there, but when all the news outlets are saying the exact same thing on the same day with the same words, and I'm like, okay, so that wasn't scripted. Does anybody, like, what are the chances? Like, there's zero and none that all of this could have lined, and every single news channel could have had the exact same script. It's like they got an email from somebody, probably from Soros.com.
Because they wanted to direct.
That's right.
They wanted to direct it. Whereas what you're doing and what a lot of people are doing is that we can go to Rumble, we can go to YouTube, and I can find out what's going on myself.
That's right.
And I can bypass the media that has a slant. They have a slant on it, and I can go straight to Jamie and say, I want to hear you and David Parker talk. And then I can make up my mind what I want to do.
So I have no doubt we're going to set the internet on fire here, David. I have absolutely no doubt. So I want to talk about marketing for a second.
Yeah.
You have a transport company.
Yeah.
What does marketing look like? That is my entire life, between a hair salon and a med spa and then a digital media company. I really feel like it's my middle name. It's about to become my first name, because that's kind of all we do. But it's, you know, the advertising word has gone away, and we are constantly marketing. And you touched on a few words that I love, like empathy. And when I think about the way Donald Trump runs the Oval Office, I think about clarity and transparency.
Yes.
And all of those things I think are key for good marketing.
Yes.
With that being said, who do you guys market to, and what kind of message? Because I don't see Covenant commercials, and not like they need to. It's not like you're going direct to consumer. I'm not going to call Walmart and be like, hey, you guys,
got to use Covenant.
Like it's a drug company. You guys need to use Covenant. You know what I mean? Who are you again?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Click.
Yes.
Anyway, so what does marketing look like for Covenant?
Yes. Great point. There's no doubt that marketing is it's important. It's more important to the consumer. When you have got when your business is related to the consumer, ours is more on the company side of it, and most of our marketing is going to be from the sales standpoint. It's just, you can't outsell me, because I'm going to knock on more doors than what you're going to knock on. And in this environment that where there's overcapacity that is there, you find that it can even be difficult, because they're not reading the spam, they're not reading the emails, they're not reading the material that you are sending out to them, because they are literally have got 2 trucks to every load that they've got available. So they really do not need you. So our marketing is not one that you would do here, at your companies. Ours is more going to be from an industry standpoint. American Trucking Association. It's going to be around the safety side and trying to get a different spin to our customers, to let them know how safe we are. To give you an idea, we have, I want to say, one of the best, if not the best, I personally think it's the best, and it may be the largest, high security. We have a great high security program throughout the United States. And so that is a true selling point to our customers. Apple, we probably do more Apple rollouts of telephones than there is. And it is because that we can protect those loads, whether it's with guards, whether it's satellite communication, all those kind of things that we've got that are going on.
Well, and so the trucks are more the KPIs you're getting in terms of, what the driver's doing, how much it's braking, what the speed is. Like you're constantly getting feedback from the driver. Like, well, what kind of technology? What's changed in 20 years?
Every engine is downloaded. We can tell you how often an engine is oversped. We can tell you how often what the oil is doing on that, what's the fuel economy on that truck as it's going down the road. We can tell you how many hard brakes that truck has made. We can tell you how many lane changes that truck has made. We can tell you we have cameras, forward cameras on every one of our trucks. We can tell you when accidents happen, was it our truck's fault or did about 80% of the accidents in America are caused by what the industry calls four-wheelers. The vast majority of them. And it is the unrespect, they don't have respect for an 80,000-pound tractor trailer and how long it takes to stop an 80,000 tractor trailer going down the road. And all of a sudden you have a car that's in the left lane that's wanting to go and get off at the next exit. And the only thing they do is this number in front of a truck. And it has helped us tremendously on accidents that all of a sudden we just show, let's show you the film. Here's what happened here. And there's enough said versus word of mouth. So yes, it can tell you, we've got the ability to tell you anything that's going on with that truck and that trailer from a safety and from a cost standpoint.
My son is obsessed with cars, and one of his favorite channels, admittedly I get sucked in, is one of the Tesla channels where they're showing you the car accidents, but they follow the case. And they tell you, they give you that chronological breakdown of what happened. And
that's cool.
And then they show all of the camera angles, and you've got someone saying, well, they cut me off. And it's like, hold on. I mean, this is a Tesla. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And which is, it's hilarious. It's like, there's the video evidence. This is open.
There it is.
This is open
Who cut who off? Yes, you're exactly correct. So yeah, there's an unbelievable amount of data that runs our company, and the trailers going up and down the road from a marketing standpoint are the biggest billboards that you got. That's why we don't allow.
Yes.
We've had unbelievable amount of outside companies that want to put graphics on our trailers, and they'll pay you money for that. But the answer is absolutely no, because we want to promote ourselves. And so when you see the Covenant name going up and down the road, that's what we want the consumer to see.
You don't have to put glitter on a Picasso.
That's right. I mean, that's correct.
And the other thing is, so when it comes to, for example, I have to sometimes enforce a non-compete. And it can be for a trademark, like for a name. And you don't want to create confusion in the marketplace. Let's keep it clear. It's Covenant.
Yes, that's right.
That's it.
That's right. So, so that's what we do.
What are the difficulties? We just talked about the tractor trailers and the accidents. And you and I had a conversation some years ago about, I asked you, like, who insures the trucks? Like, who do you go to? And you're like, oh, no, Jamie, we self-insure. And what I find so interesting about that is it's a variable cost. Right. And so how does whoever's in charge of that department, how do they, what kind of measures do they take to keep that that number more stable and not so variable? I mean, that just seems like an ultimate challenge of just like we're coming out of pocket.
It is. And here's what I can tell you. Let's just take the last 3 years. We have set safety records each year for 3 years. So we have got one of the safest trucking companies, transportation companies in America. And we got the records to show that. That said, in that 3 years, our insurance cost has gone up about 50%. And it's because of the market. And something that's got to happen is that there's got to be major tort reform, and it is needed badly. Now, I don't know that we will ever get that done, because what makes up Congress? High percentage. I would use the number 90%. It may not, because I don't know the number. But our attorneys. You hate an attorney until you need one, right? Then we love them, and that's true, and that is true to that. But I don't think it can ever get passed through Congress, tort reform. We're trying to do it through state levels. There needs to be federal levels of it, but because at the end of the day, you and I are paying what's going on. We got high deductibles. We got a $3 million deductible on every accident we've got, and we got $50 million of coverage that is out there per accident. But rates have gone up 40, 50% in the last 3 years when you're having tremendous safety.
Are you being gouged right now?
I don't want to say the insurance are gouging us. It is. here's what happens. An accident happens, and you say, okay, what state is it in? What county of the state is it in? And then you determine how should we proceed.
Is this because of who you're going to come in front of? Like
Yes.
The judge?
Yes.
Is it the judge or arbitrator? Okay.
Yes. Yes. There is one attorney, I will say, out in Texas that buys truckload of, in a small county, buys truckload at Christmas of turkeys to give them away for free because he knows eventually those people are going to become jurors. It's crooked. It's crooked. It's wrong. It's wrong. But until something's done about it, it's going to stay wrong. So we just got to live with it.
Speaking of government and making your life difficult, to go back to, I've remembered all these conversations, by the way.
Yeah, good memory.
Lily was cutting your hair, and you were getting all fired up about the EPA and emissions. And you said, "Oh my God, if you're sick, by God, go wrap your lips around the exhaust of a tractor trailer right now because it's probably healthier than the air that you breathe." I remember.
It's a filter.
Yeah,
that's true.
And so, anyway, I would like to, and I'm going to add a little more to this question. I keep doing it to you. So I'd love to talk about how the EPA has affected your business, and whether or not those changes were warranted, or if it was more of a political kind of thing. And then to tack on to that. We went to bike race this weekend. We were up in Asheville and took my son, and there was a gentleman there who had his son was racing too. They were the exact same age, and he's got a place down in Calhoun or something. And they work on diesel trucks, primarily like F-250s, the larger diesel ones, and they're doing these exhaust deletes. And because it makes the car go faster, and I guess we're no longer doing emissions testing, but if it's helping out with the performance with whatever the catalytic converter is, I guess that's what's you have to fill me in. But so we're not testing for emissions anymore. But for years we had to go pay the $12, and it had to be cash.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the biggest scam ever. Like the federal government's got this little tin warehouse set up that you roll through. You're there for 3 minutes. And you got to give them $12 or $15 in cash, then roll out of there. And anyway, it all seemed like a
game.
Yeah, a game to me. But anyway, let's get into EPA and covenant, if you mind.
First of all, the trucks are the cleanest that they've ever been. Period. On NOx output. And we are pro continuing to clean. There is a balance between what you can and cannot afford to be able to do, and that's where it became unbalanced. And the United States has allowed the state of California to lead the way. California is a broke country. They're the seventh largest economy in the world. And they are a broke country, and they want to dictate to the United States what EPA is going to be, and Trump is taking that down. That said, to give you an idea, let's just use the number that $170,000 for a truck. An electric truck, which I've not yet had one customer willing to pay me for an electric truck. And keep in mind,
for the service, the load. Right. Okay.
If I went out and bought one, because the price of an electric truck is $450,000 per truck. So you're going to go from $170,000 to $450,000. I hate to tell you, but my rates have got to go up.
Right.
I'm sorry. I've got to go up. I can't absorb that kind of difference. And not only that, though, let's take the city of Chattanooga. The city of Chattanooga told us, you know where we're based at, down in Tiftonia. Mm-hmm. The city of Chattanooga told us that if we were to charge up more than 11 trucks at one time,
you shut this grid down.
Black Creek would not exist. Cracker Barrel would not exist down there in Tiftonia. It would be black out there because of the grid. And so here we are trying to make these laws, and we don't even have the infrastructure capacity to handle it. But the people are so stupid and so ignorant, and so what's the word I'm looking for? And they're trying to take us back to the dark ages, and could care less. They would like for you to be walking all the places, and so that was the leading effort of it, without realizing you can't do it. Well, they're realizing it today that you cannot do it. And so I love what Lee Zeldin is doing. He's getting back and getting the EPA back under control. That, yes, we want to continue with innovation. We want to continue to make it cleaner. But guys, get me the infrastructure or your products. Your whatever the clothes that you went out and bought today, I promise you they will not be there.
Everything you can see and touch and feel.
Anything, right. Because it takes a truck to do it, whether you realize it or not. And so you've got to have the infrastructure before you get the policies. Don't get the policies before you get the infrastructure.
So I remember, I think it was 2021, Gavin Newsom came on and said, we're going to go all electric in California by 2030.
Yeah.
Came on the next week and said, we're asking Californians to take their thermostats to 78 degrees because we can't afford for you guys to air condition your homes.
Yes. And have blackout. No, that's exactly correct. And those are rules. And so that is one of the things that Trump is doing away with from a federal standpoint of saying, let me tell you, this 2030 is not going to work. To give you an idea, let me think here. The infrastructure was to build out like 3,000 locations for charging stations. Under Biden, they built 7 or 8.
Yeah.
To give you an idea. I mean, it was crazy. It's crazy. So yes, those things. The next big year, where we're at today, is that there's supposed to be a big change in 2027, that California wants the beginning of all trucks to make sure that they are battery operated in 2027, and then by 2035 to be completed. Starts in 27, starts in 2030, but that can't happen either.
They don't have the grid for it.
They don't have the grid. Simple. No, they don't. Give me the grid, then we'll talk. And keep in mind, we run from Chattanooga, Tennessee to Los Angeles, 2,000 miles. We do that all the time. We're running all over. We can run a tractor trailer today that is a clean NOx emission. It's a good truck. We can fill up one time between here and California. If we have a battery, we have to charge about 8 times between here and California.
Have they figured out how to recycle the batteries yet? I can't imagine this. They're about the size of a coffin. I think they're about the size of this table. Have they figured out a way to recycle them yet? So they're basically, they're hyper toxic. When you have to dispose of a battery that size, it goes to a hazmat location.
Yes.
It's not just in the ground. They do this whole, I guess the way it's been explained to me, like imagine your crawl space being waterproofed.
Yeah.
Something like that happens to the ground.
Yes.
And they stack the batteries in there.
Yep.
And then assuming that the car or truck lasts 10 years, I guess they last about 10 years.
Yep.
Where are we going to put all the batteries?
I know it. That's what I love about Trump, is that he says, my presidency is common sense. We've left common sense. Bring me back common sense. Because that's true.
86% of all of the known uranium deposits are in South America, between 3 countries that have such political turmoil at the top.
Yeah.
They can't access the gold in the ground.
Yes.
Like they can't get their act together and be like, this could fund your whole scheme. I mean, the same way that United Emirates has, they've created this massive wealth, and that's how they get to do what they do. There's countries that have these uranium deposits and they just can't get to it. Well, there's the fuel.
Yeah.
And if they can't get to it, we can't. That's a supply chain issue because the manufacturer can't. Pull us out.
You know what country is in the top 5 in minerals?
Is it the Ukraine?
America.
North
Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Arizona. We're in the top 5 in the world in They won't. They have in the past. They've not allowed us to enrich it. They won't let us dig. But here's what I don't understand: we can't dig, environmentalists. We can't dig because you think we're a polluter. But you got to have it, and you want it for your batteries, and it's okay if Ukraine and China do it. Is that not pollution? It's all pollution. Then why not take care of ourselves?
So if there's 250 million or 300 million people that are trying to do the right thing, and this is the part that kills me because I think lobbyists should be lobbying the rest of the world for change and not the people in the United States. Yeah. If you've got billions of people in India and China and Russia opening up coal plants that isn't clean coal, because there is a clean coal I found out, but I didn't know. It's like, why are we standing up here trying to break the middle class, which you brought up, that 80% of people, like why are we trying to break them in an effort to be the moral high ground for the rest of the world with our 350 million people?
Yeah, because it's a religion. It's a religion.
It's the wrong religion.
It's the wrong one. It is. And I'm not saying that we don't want part of it. I'm not saying that but use common sense. It don't work today. Get technology down the road and maybe some of it starts working, but it's not today.
Warren Buffett obviously had just had his shareholder meeting this weekend. And one of the hot topics that he addressed was the relationship between the private sector and the government working together to solve the energy crisis. Yeah. And that means a lot of things. Then we could talk about, like you said, we have these access to these the states with the minerals, but also the network, whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. Have you spent any time thinking about what that relationship would look like, or do you have a solution in your mind of what because this is truly a transitory period, right? Like we have this ideology, right? And we've made some steps, but we have a long way to go. But have you thought about what it looks like to migrate into a solution that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, first of all, as you take America, and it's true, America is the Saudi Arabia of the world. We have got more oil under America's ground than anywhere in the world. We would be the largest, we're right now in the top 3 or 4, the largest: Russia, Saudi Arabia, America. I mean, on exporting today, or how many barrels that we do, that we would be probably twice the size of anywhere in the world. We are blessed of what we've got under our feet if we want to go. And it's why Trump says, dig, baby, dig, or whatever he says. And it's so true. And you can do that clean. You can do that it's not just polluting everywhere. We need more pipelines. Remember the pipeline? The first thing Biden did was shut down the pipeline out there in Nebraska and coming from North Dakota. Can't remember the name of it, but the pipeline. We need more pipelines throughout the United States to make sure. And that's also the most cleanest way of running the oil throughout is through the pipelines. So the infrastructure's got to be built even better than what it is to take it off the road. Today, you could have trucks do it, and that's what you would do if you started, and he's going to. If we start drill, baby, drill. If we start drill, baby, drilling, it would set up America unbelievable.
There's a huge segment of the government that is for programs. Yeah. And you know what I mean when I say programs, and it's handing money out however you want to look at it for whatever the reason. And it seems to me that if we adopted a program like the United Emirates, where over there they get a Social Security, but it's more like a pension. They all have health care. The education's free. There's no crime. I don't know if anybody. I mean, there's some problems over there with the equality for women that I think are deplorable. But in terms of what the natural resources have created, it would release the burden from the government, and everybody would benefit. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If there was just more money, everybody seems to like to spend it. I mean, in his first administration, Donald Trump did a pretty good job of spending, and understood we had some extraordinary things going on with COVID. But I don't understand why we wouldn't look at that model, especially to accelerate our ability to move to a non-carbon footprint. Yeah. Yes.
All those ideas are great ideas. The first thing we got to take care of is called $37 trillion of debt.
That's right.
Before we can
pay it down. It'd be gone. I bet it'd be gone in a couple of years. Like I wouldn't be opposed to voting for in some way. However, for having a government drill, like there's those drilling decks that are out in the Gulf. If there was ones that were just for paying off the debt, like I don't. Who thinks that's a bad idea?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if all the congressmen are so old, they're like, well, this isn't going to happen in my lifetime,
Right.
so I don't have to worry about it. But I don't know why, if we've got all of this money in the ground, why we wouldn't access that and just
pay off
go
debt.
pay debt off.
I agree.
Then people would be looking for us to buy their debt at that point in time.
Yes. You know what really drives me crazy is that we got to think about those kind of things, those ideas like that. But in 2019, we were spending about $5.5 trillion a year in expenses. Is what America was spending. And then when COVID hit, we took it to $7.5 trillion. We increased it by $2 trillion, and our revenue is around $5 trillion. $5.5 trillion is our revenue. And when we did that, it's like we can't go back to 2019. It's like everybody and his brother, if you remember during COVID, we all got a check, right? Everybody got a check. Everybody, and some of that was necessary. Some of that kind of stuff that the government did was necessary. But it's like, how come that just got up there and it became the standard? And it says we can't go back. We got to get back on our cost side. I do think that I do believe that revenue is probably going to go from $5.5 trillion to say $6.5 trillion, some big number just through the growth of the economy. But still, it's not going to get to the point of paying off debt. We got to cut cost.
Well, he's cutting all right.
Yeah, he is.
I like it. There's a bit of a chainsaw approach. I'm not upset at that either. I think if you were trying to go in right now with a scalpel, that it would elongate the timeline. And but also, I think there's a greater opportunity to. There'd be less impact. There's a little bit of shock and awe going on right now, but we can, as fast as those people were fired and sent home, they can be hired again and put back in. I would believe it to be an accident that they were terminated.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that those buildings are still there and those leases are still signed, and they can just reactivate, the payroll. The waste that they're finding does make me sick.
Yes.
I've not found anybody yet that. When you start asking about like transgender libraries going to Iran of all places or whatever, I mean,
Sesame Street.
And so that nobody wants to answer that question. They ping immediately and go, well, so and so did it. I'm like, are we in fourth grade?
Right.
You know what I mean? If little Tommy jumps off the bridge, are you going to jump off the bridge?
Yes.
And it drives me. But I've not heard a good explanation about how all of this money went out, and I've not seen any accountability from whoever was part of sending that money. That could have been Republican, that could have been Democrat. I don't know. But I want somebody to stand and be like, my bad. We did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I want to know how these all these companies got, these NGOs got money. Like how you're, I'm the voter, but like I'm the customer.
Yes.
Right? And I'm supposed to be right.
I'm supposed to know.
Yeah, I'm supposed to know, but I'm supposed to be right.
Yes.
And so I think it's the mistrust of the government, I think, is absolutely warranted. And the fact that we're fighting the idea of a bit of a purge here, but like getting to something that's more efficient, like that's in nobody's best interest. When you have someone like Elon Musk talking about, I can build a rocket faster than we can get the piece of paper from here to here. I mean, I think if the economy was doing better, Republican or Democrat, who's going to get angry with that?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, in fact, I think if people were happy, you'd probably get away with more nefarious stuff than when people are angry. Like right now, we're looking at everything with a microscope, being like, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, and 90% of Americans would not run their personal life the way the government runs its life.
No. Well, and so here's the thing. I mean, the average consumer, the American, doesn't have this treasure chest to randomly access where you just hit the button and more money starts showing up again. I mean,
we don't have that.
Anyway,
I know it. Hey, we can go down a road that just makes you mad.
That's right. So I want to talk about investing for a second. I sort of imagine that someone that's running a publicly traded company, that you have to pay for or acquire access to, however it is, to information that I just can't get my hands on because, first of all, I don't need it. Second of all, I can't afford it. But to make the best decisions for the company, what kinds of sources do you go to so you can sit down with the board or the CFO or the CEO or whoever it is and be like, this is the information we're getting about what's going on in the environment, the forecasts for maybe it's gas futures or whatever.
Yeah.
But where do you guys go to get information to make decisions for the company with things that are outside of your control from an investing standpoint?
Yeah, it is it's across the board. It is going to be from government data that we will look at. I mean, right now the biggest thing is that we're trying to figure out ourselves as we speak, and we got a board meeting in a couple of weeks. But is what kind of effect are these tariffs going to have on our company? And so we are gathering all kinds of data from what the government expects imports to be. Think about Port of Los Angeles, Port of Long Beach, Port of Savannah, which we're a big player in all those locations down there. And all of a sudden, these China tariffs are going to affect those ports, and us trying to get information that we can run our company on. So it's data, but most of the data, and you've been involved a little bit in this on the data, but most of the data will be coming from our Wall Street analysts, the ones that, or universities. As I think about supply chain universities, one in Michigan State that we are able to enjoy, and he has came down and spoken to our board, and then the Wall Street analysts that cover the industry that are digging and us looking at government data. It's just just a lot of amount of research that we do to learn more and try to determine. For instance, it's expected that by the 15th of May, that about 50% of imports coming into LA and Long Beach will not be coming in. So what are we going to do? And so we're trying to, as we speak right now, trying to determine, okay, what does that mean? Is that going to change our traffic patterns? Do we need to change them now, or do we need to wait to see if it is 50% or 30% or 60%? Are the numbers correct? Are they not correct? Or do the tariffs in the next 2 weeks get a little easier? Because even though I'm 100% for the tariffs, and I think everything you and I just talked about, I think it's the right thing to do, it will affect our company. And we're going to have to maneuver within. And so we as a company, as we speak, are having those kind of conversations and those kind of meetings to determine how are we going to react and how are we going to go forward in this environment.
I'm curious about how the port workers handle or manage that. I think Donald Trump was out in front of this a long time ago, going to get union support before, when he was just running for office. But the union thing kind of scares me because of the control that someone like the Port of Los Angeles could have. I forgot what they said. I think it was like last night. It was like 36 or 40% of like all of our GDP rolls through LA. But as an example, I think that 20% of the air traffic controllers, and it looks like a very coordinated union decision, walked off the job, and I think it looks political, like they're trying to pressure because of the cutting that Doge is doing.
Yes.
But I wonder about the unions out in LA with the workers if conditions continue, if they turn
on Trump.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Those are things that at the end of the day, he's a big guy, big boy, and he'll pay a price on whatever decisions that he does make, and we're hoping that he's making the right decisions, but everything's not going to be gravy and with a cherry on top, so you just have to deal with it.
Let's go back to Covenant for a second. Do you guys have to work with a union for the drivers? Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, we're non-union. Yeah.
So I'm talking to Lois, and I know that she's in a recruiting capacity as a senior manager, and I know she's very good at it. I think you guys award, and I know that she's been a beneficiary, and she's struggling with workforce right now. This is a common problem. I could go off right now. I'm gonna refrain, but it takes a certain level of commitment, extraordinary commitment, I think, to buy into the lifestyle and maintain it consistently to be a driver.
It does. It's not an easy job.
No. What would you say your struggles are right now with hiring, and what would you say, what are some of the key traits of the that's creating difficulty of the workforce that you're having to work with right now?
Well, ours, on our fleet, it is, we got a mixture of everything. We got jobs that drivers are home every day. We got jobs that they're home 2 to 3 times a week. We got jobs that they're home once a week. We got jobs that they're out 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And turnover is on those examples I just gave you, higher, less, all the way down to very good. And it's because of the job itself and the quality of life. And are you paying them equate? To give you an idea, an international salesman working for whatever, IBM, Microsoft, somebody is an international salesperson for those companies. And those companies, they will travel throughout the world 3 weeks out of the month, 2.5 weeks out of the month. They're traveling in the world and they're making X amount of dollars. Now, they may not retire doing that job, but they're going to give it 5, 10, 15, 20 years because the money dictates it. We got to make sure that our drivers that we're asking to be gone for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, that we are paying them correctly to make sure that they want to do that job.
So if I understand this correctly, your retention's higher with those people.
No.
Right? Or no, it's the other way.
Just the,
okay.
You give me somebody give me a job that's home every day, and your turnover ratio is going to be less. It's going to be similar to other lines of business. But give me somebody that's been gone for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, it's going to be higher. Now, we have raised the salary, the pay, say on that group. It is over the last, say, 5 years, it's probably gone up 40%, 35-40% in 5 years. But that segment needs to go up 70%. So we have not arrived. Our turnover has dropped dramatically, but it's not where it needs to be.
But you guys are doing that, and you're still having your best years. I mean, you've obviously figured out the secret sauce.
There's a balance. There's a balance. Yeah, there is.
So one of the things that I'm experiencing right now is that in terms of offering, money doesn't move the needle as much as it used to.
Yeah, I agree.
And, we had at Hairbenders, we had a pretty clear path to 6 figures in 4 or 5 years with a high school diploma.
Yeah,
I mean,
good job.
4 or 5 years being like, that could be a long time if you'll just do things kind of the Hairbenders way.
Yeah.
Like we say that, the Hairbenders way.
Yeah.
Like the Patriot way. Yeah. Right. I kind of like to equate it to, we can brand it a little bit. But the lifestyle now is more important than sacrificing for tomorrow so that, it may not be as fun right now, but it's going to be a lot better in the future. Yeah. Or even if there's just a strong event in your life that could be fiscally challenging, because we've had we had a guy, a husband was in a wreck, wrapped himself around a telephone pole, and had permanent brain damage. And if you lock yourself into, no, I'm just comfortable being here, and you accidentally have a kid or two, right? You can't just flip a switch
and say I can.
You know what I mean? Because I guess a driver could say, hey, Mr. Parker, I want to go ahead and go from being home every night to being home 2 or 3 nights a week, and then give themselves a raise. You can't do that as a hairdresser.
Right. Yes.
And so I've got a lot of young people that are locked into and I want you to be happy. If you're happy, that's great.
Yeah.
But in a job that's as demanding as yours, I didn't know if you guys were running into the issue of people wanting more out of their lifestyle because the monetary pay just isn't what it was a few years ago.
Yeah, and lifestyle does matter. It really does. And I think that as I look at our in-house, because sometimes if we're not careful, we can just think it's about the professional truck driver, but we also got a lot of people employed that come to work every day in the office. And you got to make sure that you're attuned to their needs and their desires and their wants, and making sure that you're settling it between the desires of the company and what the company has to have and what they want, and you get to an equilibrium that makes sense for both. But at the end of the day, as long as we're treating them correctly and with the mission statement or the attributes of our mission statement, that it works out well for us. I mean, our internal non-truck driver turnover is very low. I mean, they're good numbers.
Have you guys had to change any of your training in the last, 5 or 10 years in order to reach that empathy standpoint with new staff, or has that maintained pretty much the same?
No. And first of all, our attributes have been there since we started the company. We no doubt that we put it more down on paper probably in 2012, 13 years ago. and we have got meetings, and we've got committees, and we've got yearly offsite to make sure that we're just continuing to establish it, because as we grow and as we get more and more people that don't know, quote, the covenant way, you got to show them the covenant way.
I love offsite leadership.
Yes.
Do you guys have any kind of like leadership
Yes.
retreats that you can speak to that you feel like have been high value?
Yeah, we do. We've in particular, we do a couple of year, and one is going to be entrepreneurship, looking for the entrepreneurs within the company, because everybody is. There's a group. Just because you're doing a 8 to 5 job does not mean that you don't have the entrepreneurial spirit. And so to look for those individuals and making sure that you're recognizing them and bringing them, because they're your next leaders, the next generation. So we spend time in that, as well as once we do that, we pick those, and we have all the departments that are picking those kind of people. And then we put them through leadership training that they go off site, and then every year they come back, and so the class gets larger and larger as you're coming back. And so, we do all of that.
So do you have like kind of a dark horse shining example of somebody that had been given an opportunity and has been a shining star?
We got numerous of those that are now running departments that came up through those programs. Yes, we got numerous of those.
Do you have a leadership guru, or is there anybody that you personally go to maybe for personal development, whether it's books or online coaching, or someone you're like, these are some pivotal people in my life that help me guide my decision-making process?
Yeah, there are. First of all, in our company, our VP of people that also safety reports to Joey Ballard, which is a wonderful, wonderful individual. She leads the effort through all of our employees or our teammates, but Paul Bunn, our president, myself, are actively involved in all of that. But yes, we do. We have the training materials. We have a company out in Arkansas. We have 2 or 3 coaches that we love, that all of a sudden we see where this individual's got great talent, but maybe he's got some rough edges, or she's got some rough edges, but we want to help them get there. And we got 2 or 3 coaches that we will assign to them to say, hey, we want some assistant one-on-one for the next 1 year. And it's that kind of deal. But it all comes out of that original of department head managers looking at their people, working for them, and getting them into our leadership academy.
So on the personal side,
David
Parker, do you have a Tony Robbins or a Warren Buffett or like a Russell Brunson, or is there somebody that you've said, wow, I'm constantly getting gold nuggets from, I refer back to this, or maybe it's an author, because there's tremendous books have been written, but do you have any personal stories you could share?
I would tell you 2 that really, number one, Jacqueline is my coach.
Yes.
You can see that. Number 2, the Bible is the way I've ran our company for 40 years, and that's absolutely where I go to. If you were to look, there's a great book, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's the leadership of Jesus. I mean, taking something from nothing, getting 12 disciples that had to groom them, make them, and shape them, and the aggravation that he had to go through the apostles, and they were just a bunch of old country guys that were fishermen, and how he had to work with them through his 3 years of ministry, and the leadership capability, the humbleness that he had. If you can learn those attributes, you can be successful. And so to utilize your talents. There's a book also that I loved years ago, Good to Great. I don't know if you've ever read that or not.
No, I haven't, but I know the book.
Okay, it's a great book. And it was one that I just couldn't turn down. And so we read it throughout our organization. But personally, that's one that I've got.
So you've got some very interesting clients, nationwide clients, and you're talking to other CEOs of other publicly traded companies. Give me one or two people, if you don't mind, that you've talked to and you've been impressed with. You got on the phone and, I guess we all have like an internal meter for things like red flags, but we also have this sort of internal meter where our body or our mind is telling us that this is a good person, this person's sharp.
Yes.
I'm based on what they're saying and how they're conduct themselves. I'm like, wow, I feel like this person's impressive. And the reason why I ask that question is because from somebody at the top of their game, with all the change that's been going on and all of the tariff variables and things, which I can't even conceive, doesn't affect me, right? You know what I mean? If it does, it's not like it does you. But your opinion of somebody, to me, would mean an awful lot because you're at the pinnacle of your game and your industry, and you're like, I think this person's impressive.
I tell you, from a peer standpoint, one of the interesting things that's happened of all my peers, I'm about the last one standing. The rest of them that were entrepreneurs that were my peers in the same business, in the transportation business. Every one of them have retired, either because I was the youngest when I started at 28 years old and they were 40. Well, now they're 80 and I'm 68. And so I'm dealing now with the younger, the second and third generation of my peers. And there's quite a few of them that 3 or 4 of them that are really, but I miss the ones to really give you the good answer would be my peers, but they've all basically retired. As I look at our companies, the companies that are, we had a president over at our office just a couple of weeks ago with Sunoco that is just so impressive. James Harold is just a wonderful individual and so impressed with him. But as it relates to most of our companies, we're dealing with our customers. We're dealing with the VPs of supply chain, the VPs of transportation.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, very few times we're dealing with the CEOs of Colgate. We're going to deal with the VPs of transportation. Now, they are impressive. I mean, right there, Colgate being one of them. Very impressive people, organizations that we do business. Floor and Decor. If I start naming a bunch of them, I'll be sitting here naming all of them. But a lot of our customers have got a lot of impressive people.
There's so many regulatory bodies with transportation, as there should be. But then they have their own peer groups. But does transportation have a peer group where you guys can get together with kind of a best of the best and we're sharing? I mean, I realize some of these people can be competitors, but do you guys get together and share like victories and areas of opportunity and like leadership strategies and that kind of thing?
No. We do that through American Trucking Association that most of us are members of. So they have, leadership academies and bring your people, et cetera. And so they run it. We also have one that's been 35 years in existence for a safety. Your top carriers in our peers in transportation, there's about 20 of them that deal with safety issues where they get very open. I had this many left-hand accidents, left-hand turns, right-hand turns, stop, go, et cetera. What can we all do about it? And so they get very open. But when it comes to customer, then you get very private because you don't want them coming after your customers.
No, that's right.
And so you get very private from that standpoint, but you do share where you can share.
I remember
maintenance, cost, those kind of things.
How long has Jacqueline had her master's?
2012.
2012. I was going to say 10 years. So I'm off by 12 years. Yep. But I remember her studying, I think her group, because they had a team project.
Yes.
And you guys were integrating a new operating system, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, good memory.
And so I remember her sharing the challenges. I was glued to the conversation. But I think that was part of her thesis for her master's. And by the way, so impressed you could go back. I don't know how old Jacqueline is. I don't know if she's aged since
She went back at 52.
Well, I mean, to go back in and get into that mindset where you have to study for something, and you're like your master. I don't know how I would do it.
I couldn't do it. She is just what you see here is who she is all the time on whatever subject. Jacqueline is a business major.
Yeah.
I mean, let me tell you, her life. She retired, about 10 years ago. She comes to all the board meetings. So she comes to all the board meetings. she'll call our CFO, she'll call our president, and have discussions with them all the time. And then if she's not reading her Bible, which you commented at the beginning, Jacqueline will work out for an hour and a half. She has taped all the business shows. And while she's working out in the gym, she's watching every business show that there is.
What is she like? What business show does she like?
I know that she likes, probably in fairness would be Bloomberg.
Yeah.
That she believes that they are more open. She likes CNBC, but she's got to realize that they got to spin. Is what I would hear Jacqueline say.
Okay, but I'll tell you what I like is that Andrew is liberal and Joe's conservative, and Joe's not afraid to be out there.
That's right.
And say, doesn't that seem kind of funny?
Yeah.
But so there's some back and forth.
She loves Maria Bartiromo.
Barbara, she with Fox
her.
now.
Yeah, she loves her.
And 25 years ago, I remember watching her as a new newscaster on CNBC in the morning when David Faber was still with Joe Carter before Andrew Ross Sorkin was on there. But you're right, there is a spin there, but there's a little bit of checks and balances going on. And so,
you got to get the truth out of it.
Yeah.
A portion of the Wall Street Journal is no good. You got to
a portion.
Whatever percentage it is. Matter of fact, she quit taking the Wall Street Journal for a period of time, and then she started it back because she missed the good parts of the Wall Street Journal.
Doesn't Amazon? What's his name?
Boros, Jeff Boros
From
Bezos.
Yeah,
Bezos.
he owns the Washington.
Washington Post.
Washington Post.
Yeah. And he's trying to maybe make it a little bit more even keel instead of slanted tremendously. They're all quitting them.
Is he trying to buy TikTok too? Was he?
No. I think something came out, but I don't think he's in the running for TikTok.
Anyway, so interesting. Now, how much has AI changed your business? This is very new. Yeah. There's some people I bump into that don't know what ChatGPT is somehow in some way.
Yeah.
But so like as far as the learning curve is concerned, but also with tools, business tools, complicated business tools, because you've got to, your operating system, you guys have the geo tracking, you have the whole nine. How much has that changed Covenant? Was there
it continues to mature. It continues to mature. I saw a report just in the last couple of weeks where they put into the system and just said, give me all the chicken farms in Georgia. Because kind of what I've got on some of this is that really it's a consolidation of the internet. So instead of you going into the internet and saying, I want to look up chicken farms in Arkansas, you can ask and say, give me the chicken farms that are in the top 20, and it goes to the internet and just compiles the list for you.
You're absolutely correct. So the Google search for the first time in 20 years was down 13% last month.
Yes.
Because the AI features now have a search feature.
Yes.
And so you can go and ask it. And so one of the things to remember about AI, ChatGPT, any of those open models is whatever gets left out will be left out.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking for a chicken farm, you should probably know how long, maybe gross sales, what part of the country.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, is it, or
who are they selling to?
Do they have any complaints?
Yes.
But the more of that you put in, but then you get back the specific answer and it bypasses the sponsored ads.
Yes, that's right.
Right?
Yep.
And you ask for something and it gives it to you, not what, Google or Bing, whatever search engine wants to give you.
That's right. So we're utilizing that. Again, we just hit the ball on the way to first base. So we're utilizing some of that I think has got a great ability for us in the future to use. And then we're also using AI in redundant kind of jobs that people are just entering into the system. Data entry, just boring stuff. We can do greater things with those people and so it's automatically taking that and putting it on the spreadsheets by itself instead of them having to re-entry. That's kind of where we are at with AI.
That's great. With that being said, where do you see Covenant? And you might have a grand scheme, like you guys made some changes with like the using the warehouse space, talking about that vertical chain. Where do you see Covenant in 10 to 15 years? Is there anything dramatic as far as change is concerned so you guys continue to be dominant and relevant in 15 years?
Our whole goal since really 2015 and then 2018 with companies that we started buying, 2022, 23 companies that we bought, is we came out with a motto in 15 that said, I'm not sure what it means. I went to the board and said, I'm not sure what this means, but we're going to get deeper in the supply chain. I have no desire to be an over-the-road trucking company. And I hope that I load today in Chattanooga and I go to Chicago tomorrow, and I hope that I got a load in Chicago to get me back into the South. That's just the over-the-road deal, which I've done most of my life. And in 2015, we said, we're going to start getting out of that business. And today we're down to only about 50 trucks in that business. But we want to get deeper in the supply chain. We want to bring value to the customer, because if you're not bringing something of value to that customer, you become a commodity. And the only thing it is, you're one bid away from losing the business or gaining the business. And if it's tight, I raise rates. If there's a lot of capacity out there, they lower rates. And how can we get deeper? And that's what led us to getting involved in more into dedicated, more into long-term contracts and dedicated, where we have taken the private fleets of the customers and replaced them with our trucks. It's usually a lower margin than what you could get over here in the OTR market. It's a lower, but it's a steady margin. And got us into the warehouse business in 2018. As Paul Bunn, our president, said one time, he says, one thing about the warehouses, you don't wake up every morning wondering if you had a major accident running warehouses. And so you're blessed from that standpoint. And then in 2022, we got into hauling bombs and bullets for the Department of Defense. We bought a company that did that, and we've doubled the size of that company.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah. Yes.
I've got questions now. Yeah. This is fun. Yeah. So what do the protocols look like? What does the equipment look like? What is your communication with like local municipalities or something? If you're carrying TNT or you've got M80s or something, or my God,
First of all, I can't tell you.
Oh,
that's number one.
Or it'd have to kill me.
Yeah, I know it. Number two, it takes up to 6 or 8 months to get a driver qualified to haul government business.
They don't grow on trees.
So everybody and his brother's not going after that business. And so it's one of those, but yes, it's very, very secretive and very, for us to even go to the office, we got to be government qualified. So you can't just say, hey, Jamie, here, I'm going to run you over here and let you see. There's none of that. It's a very, very quiet, protective kind of situation. And if the service has got to be there, and they know if the service is not there.
So if you can answer this, is the truck different? I mean,
yes.
It just seems to me that it would take a different set of.
It's more around what is required than it is. Is this a truck with the engine? Yes. Is the same thing. Is it a trailer that looks similar? Yes. But then there's offsets of all that you've got to provide.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
So we did that in 2022, and then we bought the chicken business in 2023. And you take all of those are not done by bids. Those are not done by, okay, here's the latest Walmart bid, and let's see what we can do and hope we do well. These are one where we're sitting down with, the bosses at all these companies that we're bringing value to and saying, we've not been late. Our on-time performance is 99.9% on getting the birds from the farm to the processing plant. 99.9% on time. Well, let me tell you, as you can see going up and down the interstate, when you see a load of birds going to the processing plant, those birds can lose weight very rapidly. Just en route, they're losing weight.
Okay.
And so when that bird gets to the processing plant, it's got to weigh a certain amount of weight to be processed. If it's less than that weight because you broke down, because the load was ready and you didn't have a truck ready to go, because your truck is in the shop, because your driver decided that he overslept, you can't do that. So service is absolutely unbelievable what you got to be able to give on service. So they allow you to make a decent margin on that business and not fight you every time for the lowest rate.
Okay, so here's my question. So you've got one of the largest transport companies in the world, and you're starting to grow your depth into the supply chain, and you're finding a certain amount of a lucrative nature. I don't know if lucrativity is a word.
Yeah.
I was about to make a word.
That's good. Lucrative.
Lucrative. So what kind of pressure could that, or does it, put on Walmart when you don't have a huge, company, kind of like you could be like the Walmart, for example. I'm just talking about in size and scope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys could be the Walmart in terms of dominance in the trucking world. But what does it do to them if you're like, yeah, we don't need your lowest bid?
Yeah. Well, in the last 2.5 years, it's not mattered to those customers.
Okay.
Because capacity is, remember the supply chain, everybody came in, then it started slowing. The capacity was still there, and now it's working its way out. We're probably in the next year away from them coming to a reality check. If the economy grows the way I expect the economy to grow and capacity continues to go out of the market, there's going to be another tight market, and it will matter.
So if there's a tight market and you guys are doing well and doing strong, and you increase,
we won't go back there. No, I'll keep doing what we're doing. We won't. During the next tightness of capacity, we're not going to run back to that market.
Will you guys raise rates?
Yes.
Out of demand?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Yes.
Okay.
But that said, the customers that we've got today are not going to go on this pendulum of capacity is tight, so therefore my rates are going sky high. A lot of capacity exists. My rates are going down. We're more into this. I mean, that they allow us to operate in.
And I'm sure you guys have, every work contracts, they've all got to be different. And anybody that's a good customer, paying on time to me is a good customer,
Yeah, I know.
right? And the scope, the size of the business would be, well, you're going to get a better rate because you're sending us more truckloads.
Yeah.
But I imagine if somebody hasn't used you guys in the past and they come on as a new person, they could be subject to the stronger premium, which
right.
would be strong.
And we do that through our non-asset base. Remember the one I was telling you, we do about $250 million of non-asset. We don't own the truck. We don't own the trailer. We own the relationship with the customer.
Okay.
And then they give us a load and it's paying $1 a mile. And we go find an outside truck and trailer that will do it for 95 cents. And we make a nickel.
Okay.
That is where
you're brokering it.
That's where they will use the Walmart example that you used a little while ago.
Okay.
When capacity gets tight, rates go up, we'll still use that as our OTR over the road.
So then that segment of the business has a strong chance here, like in the next 24 months, to grow exponentially.
Yes,
if you're looking
absolutely.
at that, that's so exciting.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's pivot to personal investing for a second. Just asking about David Parker.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to just go make more money, you could focus on your business and look for a return or look for a personal wins. But do you have any outside hobbies like whether it's muscle cars or real estate, or is there anything that you invest in out of personal interest?
Yeah. Let me tell you, it's interesting. Jacqueline and I will be married 49 years in October.
Oh, gosh.
We're 68. I'll be 68 in September. She'll be 68 in December, and we've been married for 49 years.
Okay, well, I'm 49, so that makes it's putting into perspective.
So we got married at 19 years old. I started Covenant at 28 years old. She came just a few months after I started the company. She only had a semester left, I believe, to have her 4-year nursing degree, and said, I need to be at Covenant. And she stayed there for 30 years. And that said, Jacqueline says this, funny. She says, David, if we had it my way, we would still be at 25 trucks, but they'd all be paid for. You've made the money. You've made the money for our family. Let me make sure we keep the money. Because as you know, Jacqueline and her precision and in-depthness. Methodical.
Yes.
She is the one that you want to run your money, okay? And so our biggest opportunity is and has always been at Covenant. And because why would you want to invest in any other company besides what you know the best in? So if we have X amount of dollars that we want to invest, we buy back Covenant stock. We'll increase holding. We're the largest shareholder there is. But she said, David, let me make sure that we keep this, because I'm much more of a wild person entrepreneur. Oh, that sounds good.
Let's do it.
Let's go do this. And most of the time that stuff doesn't work. And so, Jacqueline, I will tell you that I would say 90% of ours is in tax-free bonds.
There you go.
State tax-free bonds that I can tell you in 08 and 09, we still made our 4 or 5%.
That's right.
That's where most of it is at. And so we don't do anything crazy. Our quote gambling is Covenant. That's where it's at. And it's what we know the best. So we don't do stupid stuff.
Well, that's good.
We just keep what we got.
Harry and Jacqueline have a lot in common. She's got the lasso to reel me in, because I'm like, let's go do that. But I like my squirrels. It's okay.
That's right.
I like my squirrels.
Yeah, she calms me down.
So family's a big part of your life. I know you guys have just strong family values.
Yes.
And I got to see Rachel get her hair done for a wedding. I got to see her grow up really
I know it.
for the last 25 years, which has been fun. But you're a grandparent now.
I know it, Jonathan's son.
Yes. Yeah. And so tell me about being a grandparent. Tell me about that phase.
Nothing like it. We have one grandchild. He's 9 years old, Jonathan, and both of my children, Rachel and Jonathan, were raised in the business. They've done every job in the business from 12 years old up until now, and both of them decided at one time that we do not want to run the company, and so because at the end of the day, you got to go where your passion is. Jonathan has 1 year left at 45 years old of Emory Seminary. And so Jonathan went back to seminary school at 45 years old, because he believes that God wants him to do some other things. And he works at Covenant, just in the body shop is where Jonathan works, and going to seminary and raising his child. And that's what Jonathan does. And he's very, very happy. Rachel is a member of the board, and she's over our philanthropic givings, and just loves it, loves what she's doing, and is happy what she's doing. So at the end of the day, the biggest advice I give to people is that running a company is not for everybody. I mean, I named a president a couple of years ago, and I'm just now going down to 50 hours a week. It was 70 and 80 hours a week. My life was 60% of my time was on an airplane. On building the company, and today it's probably 25% on the airplane. And so my life is changing somewhat as my people that are coming up are growing in their jobs, doing an unbelievable job. But I can see myself still doing this at 75 years old, because I love it, and it's what God created me for. And the passion is there and the love is there. So that's the same thing with my kids. They find out what they want, find out what their desires are and where their passion is, and go exploit it. Go do it. God's got great things in store for us, and he puts that passion in our life. I remember forgetting, in the early 2000s, I went to Nigeria, Africa, on a ministry that I had supported since early 90s. For 30 years, I supported this ministry. I was there for 10 days, checking it out, looking it out. I'll never forget Jamie coming back home and saying, God, thank you that I'm the one that sends people to Africa and pays for it, and not the one that you called to go because I was miserable. And so it's interesting where your passions are. But my passion is let's go take Nigeria. Let's go help Nigeria. Let's go fund Nigeria. Let's get people saved. Let's get people into the kingdom. Let's go do this. I don't want to go. So it's interesting.
My kids have not shown interest in any of the businesses, and that's okay. I want them to go and explore their interests. I want them to feel like that they're not working when they show up.
That's right.
So whatever their career is going to be, I want them to love it. Do you have any personal philosophies about nepotism when you've been this successful?
Yeah, I think that we've done a great job in raising our kids. I really do. I got two kids and their families that they have that love God with all their heart, that are in church, that are adding to society, that are doing great things, not only for the kingdom but for their community and their friends, and it's just amazing what they do. So I think that we've done a good job on that, and they got a firm foundation in Jesus. So we're just very, very happy and very pleased. And what you find out is that the more that God allows us to be blessed, the more we bless people. And if you have that attitude, it's all about the heart. If you want to know the blessings of God, it's not that if I give $100, God will give me back $200. It's if I give $100, I don't care if he doesn't give me anything. I'm going to give $100.
Well said.
Then you get the blessings, because all of a sudden God looks at that and says, boy, I like your heart. Your heart's good. Matter of fact, here's $200. What will you do with it? That's what he does.
Staying in the same theme, there's a lot online about your civic involvement and in philanthropy. And so, I mean, one of like Rotary, for example, one of their missions is to give back and to create, to provide for the less fortunate, and they're constantly doing fundraisers that are all designed, to give back. Who have you guys chosen to work with, and why?
We let's say this. I would say 95% of the organizations and places that we give to, both personally and corporately, 95% of them have got to have something to do with Jesus, because I believe at the end of the day, there's a lot of good works out there, lots of good works that are worthy of the work in which they are doing. But I am one that just believes if Christ is not involved to change your life, that's the only thing that matters, because eternity, life is like a vapor. We're here for a little while and we vanish away. It's what the Bible says. And the older I get, at 68, I realize I've lived most of my life, so whatever that means. So I'm really preparing for eternity that's forever and ever and ever and ever. And so our giving reflects that, and it is. But I'm going to tell you, one of the things that we do is that we try to be led by God's Spirit on where he wants us to give. Because the one individual that's down on the street corner, touching one life at a time, is just as important to the national ministry that is providing goods, maybe to hurricane relief and those kind of things through the Christian side. So the spear is from here to here. It is all of the above, and there's not one that sits here and says, hey, 80% of our giving is over here. It's not. It's where we feel like that the Lord is leading us to.
Now, do you guys, this is something that I do you guys look at operating costs for these philanthropies?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, I was hoping
Absolutely.
so. Yeah, like some of these large national groups where, 6 cents on the dollar is actually going to, and the CEO's making 9 figures or something crazy. That doesn't make any sense.
We do that. And we have there's an organization also that is there that helps these organizations on making sure that they understand fundraising and making sure they understand cost. And after a period of time, our requirement, if we're going to give, is that because they charge nothing. They're not having to pay nothing. They're just brainstorming with them. And so eventually we say you have to utilize them.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it helps them too.
My my partner here, riding shotgun, Mr. Andrew Boyd, is made his mark in the biohacking space.
Oh, wow.
He's very much in the longevity game. Has a tremendous following online. He's like 20,000 followers. And
Wow.
I love to brag on him. He's been in the Washington Post
Wow.
and in the Times, New York Times, London,
wow.
one of the London ones. But
Financial Times.
he's done extremely well in that space, and so he's really gotten me excited about looking at my biomarkers.
Yes.
And in fact, the domestic executive, that would be my wife, she
Yeah.
wants the Whoop ring, so that she can get. We're trying to. We want to go out strong.
Uh-huh.
And I think I was
cool.
reading that Jack LaLanne, like when he died at 100 and something, like he could do 100 push-ups the day
Wow.
before he died.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I want to go out.
That's what I want to be.
Because I remember listening to when UBS bought Payne Weber, Lou Holtz was the keynote speaker. And someone was asking him if he wanted like a diet something. And he was like, "Oh no, I want the regular Coke or whatever, because I want to be sick when I die. And a tremendous public speaker. For someone that had a lisp, I think he's somebody that
Oh, I know
I've looked up to. I think
He was great.
He's great. Anyway, oh my God, a squirrel just jumped in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, for workout, for diet,
Yes.
and again, going back to one of our previous conversations,
Yeah.
you were getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you have, and I have too, built a gym where you were like, I don't need to go anywhere else. This is it.
I got it right here.
What's the personal care regimen look like? Do you have any fundamental beliefs in like how serious are you getting in about diet and mixing up the workout and fitness component to your life?
Yes. I have been working out now since strong. I mean, like almost not missing since 1986. Because the reason why I know that's when we started Covenant. So it was in September of that year, I'd gotten up to 247 pounds, 9 months into owning Covenant. I said, I gotta get this under control. And started working out every day besides, working out and taking it serious. And today it's still true. I would say that 85% of my diet is one that you'd be proud of. And through the week, it is salmon and vegetables and greens and, lots of salads and those kind of things that we probably eat salmon 4 days a week. And so we do the right eating. But then Saturday night, I went to Anchor's, and I'm gonna get me a Cuban sandwich, and
That's a good Cuban.
That's a great Cuban
Steak in a sack.
That's right.
And those French fries.
Oh, I
Come
love
on.
them. So that's what I'm gonna have. I had that Saturday night, and I also had my candy Saturday night. And other than that, I'm gonna be eating oranges all week long. And so we try to maintain a proper diet that is good, and then my workout it consists of. I work out 7 days a week, and my average time is about 1 hour and 40 minutes, depending upon what day it is. And my thing is that my goal is to do each body part 1 day a week.
Okay.
So I'll do biceps 1 day a week and triceps 1 day a week. That takes me about 35 minutes to do the lifting. Then I do aerobics 1 hour, and then I'll do core for about 15 minutes. And that kind of makes up my exercise, because I'm past the days of trying to lift 400 pounds and past the days of trying to have 17-inch arms. And mine today at 68 is I just want to be in good shape and make sure that, because now where I have hurt myself is this over the years doing this. You would think the things that all this is supposed to do good for us. And I tell people, I said, here's where I'm going to be. When I die, they will probably have to take a hammer and beat on my heart to get it to stop. I mean, my resting heartbeat has been as low as 38.
What?
To give you an idea. And so
if you're in the hospital, alarms go off if you're hooked up when at 38. I mean, they come in and make sure you're still breathing and you're alive.
Yes, and I used to go to the clinics out in Dallas and La Jolla, California. I'm going brain dead right now myself, but and it did. I'll never forget when they got 38 on it. He came running in there thinking I was having a heart issue and decided I wasn't. And so I'm not saying it's 38 today, but it has been as low as 38. It's low. So I say, hey, they're going to have to beat my heart. And that's true. But also, we were talking about my shoulder operation 2 months ago. It's the 7th operation I've had on my bones. So I've had 2 feet aerobics, bone spurs on my right foot. I've had 3 knees on my left one, knee replacement 3 years ago.
Who did that?
Dr. Nash.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Good guy.
And then I've had my right shoulder, broke it playing ball, diving after a ball on my right side. And then I tore the rotator cuff doing shoulder flies. That's when I felt it pop back in November. And so Dr. Benji Miller operated on my left shoulder. So all of mine is Skeletor. I went to Jason Womack just about 2 months ago with, I'm going to tell you, my left foot's hurting. Jason, what's going on So he does it. He says, Dave, you got 2 bone spurs on your left feet. You've got arthritis in your left ankle, and your Achilles tendon has something going on with the Achilles tendon on my left foot.
I lived across the street from his dad for the whole time I was having kids. So I got to see him. That was probably 15 years ago. He was a young doc.
Yeah. Yeah,
back then.
Jason's great.
Good guy, good family.
Great guy. So yeah. So anyway, my diet is good. My health is good. My bone, because of the beating that is probably, in my opinion, the beating, the how many P90Xs should you do? How many all that stuff should you do? I might have done one too many that hurt my bones.
I went to see a foot doctor at Center for Sports Medicine,
Yeah.
and Jason wasn't there yet. This was a long time ago, and
Okay.
I did not tear my Achilles, but I had it was like a partial. You know what I mean? I didn't tear it off the
Yeah.
bone. It was
Yeah.
swollen, and it was from and it wasn't from trauma. It was from me walking on my toes. And he said, Jamie, they did this whole foot analysis. He's like, you walk around your toes all day, and he's like, you've just stressed it basically.
Wow.
And so after my diagnosis, and it had been some time, because of course I was stubborn and I didn't go for a long time. So
Yes.
the entire time I was kind of, suffering from this was much extended. And a lot of it was my fault. But the doctor at Center for Sports Medicine, he's since left. That's why I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But he said, there's no blood in your foot. He said, I can cut your Achilles in half. He's like, probably not going to bleed.
Wow.
And I was like, huh.
What?
And so that's what was delaying the healing. And the second they gave me a PRP injection, then I was back to, I don't know, probably 90 or 95%
Wow.
just within a couple, 2 or 3 months.
Wow.
And the PRP is so fascinating. The insurance wouldn't pay for it at the time. Again,
Yeah.
it's probably been 10 or more years since I've had it done. The insurance didn't want to pay for it. And I'm thinking, gosh, this thing that works so good and they wouldn't pay for it. And it wasn't a lot of it. It was like $700. You know what I mean? And for to some people, it's a lot of money, but it wasn't like $5,000.
Yeah.
But the reason why the insurance doesn't pay for it is because it works.
Yes.
And so because it's going to cut off,
right.
me
That's a
asking
great
someone
point.
for a Celebrex,
Yes. That's true.
prescription,
It's-
and then so they're and I'm like, gosh, if this was mainstream and we were doing this, it's like think about how much healthier we are. And here I am, kind of circling back around and getting on how the government's against all of the people.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we just did the right thing. If everybody in Congress had their "What would Jesus do" bracelet on,
Yeah. Amen.
and then we're not running in
Yeah.
to those problems.
That's right. That's good.
Well, David, I've completely run the gamut on all of the topics.
Well, I enjoyed it.
I absolutely hope that we can do this again.
Yep.
And if you ever need us for like company messaging,
Yeah.
if you want to come in and talk about objectives or something, if you want some high quality content for us to pull from a podcast, I'd love to do that for you. If you guys have a special event and you feel like that we could put together even a short. We would love to be that person for you.
Yeah.
And so, and that's just
I will
me
let 'em
offering
know.
that. Yeah. But
Absolutely.
this has been an absolute pleasure. I want to say thank you
Good
again,
seeing
sir.
Jamie.
Thank you, David.
Okay, Bob.